Alright, this is She That Exists, her story channel. And this is a part of my special series on human trafficking and the trafficking of women and children, especially for sacred education and awareness. And so this is part 2 of my sacred education and awareness series on human trafficking. And this is part 2 of the protocol to prevent, suppress, and punish trafficking in persons, especially women and children, supplementing the United Nations Convention Against Transnational Organized Crime. United Nations 2000. We are on part 2 for those who are interested in free awareness, free education, and this is greatly needed in the world because human trafficking is the number one profit off of life. And these private corporations, or these corporations that are going on in the world and operating globally, are profiting off of humans and human trafficking. And so this is a very important topic that the world needs to know about, and this is free awareness and free knowledge and free education. Someone said to me today that a lot of people don't feel like that they can educate their children, or that they can educate themselves or take their life back, and get their power back, and to reassemble like their freedom and take control of their lives again, because they don't have education. So I thought, well, I offer everything in this way. This is free, and so this is an opportunity for those to educate themselves freely. And so here we go, just fulfilling my purpose in life, truly. But part 2, we're on part 2. Protection of victims of trafficking in persons. And feel free to comment. This is really important. So we're human. You're probably human if you're connecting or you're sitting here with us right now. So we're on part 2. Protection of victims of trafficking in persons. And please feel free to ask questions, because this is how we learn. Share your situation. If you feel like you've been human trafficked, or that a family member has been trafficked, or there's something really going on and you don't know and you're just confused because you don't have knowledge or education, you just know something's wrong, then definitely comment. And so here we go. Protection of victims of trafficking in persons. Article 6, assistance to and protection of victims of trafficking in persons. In appropriate cases, and to the extent possible under its domestic law, each state party shall protect the privacy and identity of victims of trafficking in persons, including inter alia, by making legal proceedings relating to such trafficking confidential. I'm going to go deeper into that later. Hopefully somebody will remind me. 2, each state party shall ensure that its domestic, legal, or administrative system contains measures that provide to victims of trafficking in persons in appropriate cases. A, information on relevant court and administrative proceedings. B, assistance to enable their views and concerns to be presented and considered at appropriate stages of criminal proceedings against offenders in a manner not prejudicial to the rights of the defense. 3, each state party shall consider implementing measures to provide for the physical, psychological, and social recovery of victims. That's really important too. The physical, psychological, and social recovery of victims. That's a whole different video. It's like a whole different video, an educational topic for sure in the subject matter. I'll continue though. Each state party shall consider implementing measures to provide for the physical, psychological, and social recovery of the victims of trafficking in persons, including, in appropriate cases, in cooperation with non-governmental organizations, other relevant organizations, and other elements of civil society, and in particular the provision of A, appropriate housing, B, counseling and information, in particular as regards their legal rights, in a language that the victim of trafficking in persons can understand, C, medical, psychological, and material assistance, and D, employment, educational, and training opportunities. 4. Each state party shall take into account, in applying the provisions of this article, the age, gender, and special needs of the victims of trafficking in persons. In particular, the special needs of children, including appropriate housing, education, and care. 5. Each state party shall endeavor to provide for the physical safety of victims of trafficking in persons while they are within its territory. 6. Each state party shall ensure that its domestic legal system contains measures that offer victims of trafficking in persons the possibility of obtaining compensation for damage suffered. Wait till the world wakes up, gets a hold of all this. All right, here we go. World, humans, humanity. This is global. This is international. And humans are the prophet. So let's continue. What will our children inherit? That's for certain. Article 7. Status of victims of trafficking in persons in receiving states. Number 1. In addition to taking measures pursuant to Article 6 of this protocol, each state party shall consider adopting legislative or other appropriate measures that permit victims of trafficking in persons to remain in its territory temporarily or permanently in appropriate cases. 2. In implementing the provision contained in paragraph 1 of this article, each state party shall give appropriate consideration to humanitarian and compassionate factors. Just had an idea about something that I'm going to create too. Someone told me today that they don't feel educated, and I shared this earlier about educating their own children, that they don't feel like they're empowered enough or good enough or smart enough to educate their own children. And so the idea that I had is going through all these words that are in here, because I don't know the education level or the awareness level of everybody in the world. And so some of these words, some people could not even understand. So how can we begin to take our lives back as humans and to not put women and children at risk of human trafficking and trafficking of persons if a lot of people are not sure the meaning of this? And this is why I'm really depending and relying on feedback and for people to share authentically and